All right, ready?
Absolutely.
All right, so we've been talking about classroom practices, but it's a really sensitive topic. And in my school, teachers are used to having a lot of autonomy. They go in their room, they close their door, they do their own thing. And so they don't necessarily see this as something that's their job. So how do I start to change that culture to kind of get those classroom doors open and be able to do this work?
Absolutely. That's a very good question, and I'm sure everyone here could can't find my words. Could agree with that as being a very common issue. Now, we have to acknowledge the fact that when we propose a new thing, that implies a cultural shift, which you just mentioned in your question. So I think most teachers their mindset is focused on is focused on they feel evaluated. If someone is to come and tell them what to do, they feel evaluated. So they get defensive. So we have to make sure before we try to change their behavior in one way or another, or give them tools and strategies, we have to help them shift from that mindset to a more we are in it together, to a more collaborative sort of mindset. Once they are in that mindset, then they will be more receptive to actually trying and experimenting with these tools and structures and strategies that we are proposing. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, do you have some ideas for how I can get them to shift to that more collaborative approach? Because I think you're right. That's what we need to do in our building. I just don't know how to start.
What I would suggest to do, but before I throw my 2 cents, anyone here tried something and it worked well with helping teachers shift from one mindset to another and sort of work together? What tips and tricks do you have? Yes, Stacey.
In my school, it was really helpful for the administrators to send out an assessment, a self-assessment to the
Excellent.
teachers. And it was not something that the administrators were evaluating. It was just for your own self to look at and use along with a reflection they were completing. And doing that, I think it really helped.
I would assume it was anonymous, right? So nobody felt put on the spot.
Right.
Excellent.
Yep, that's right.
Any other strategies? That's a very good approach.
I don't know if this is necessarily a strategy, but we started a star board, staff that are recognized, and students or staff could fill out one on another staff person anonymously, or they could put their name down. And we found that people would go to the star boards to kind of like search for their names. And if they noticed at the end of the month when we took them down and put them in the mailboxes that, Stacy has a stack of them and I don't have any, they kind of self-reflected on, why don't I have any? What am I not doing? And it became this very positive competition amongst the staff to see who could get the most starboards. And we put the starboards right next to the punch-in, punch-out clock. So we would catch them all looking at it to see if they had received any or not. So I don't know if it wasn't intended to be a strategy. I think it ended up being one, though.
Excellent. And I think both your points really tie into the very model of what PBIS is all about, which is assessment and data and see where you are, and then use that to come up with strategies and then see what happens on the ground and provide that feedback back into what do we do. So I'll take those 2 points and I'll sort of package them in like a 1, 2, 3 sort of approach. First, let's see what's going on. What do you struggle with? What do you already have in place? Based on that assessment and self-assessment work, we can use a body sort of like a friend or a peer assessment. Train and coach and model what things you can try. See what happens and take that data to feed back into your practice and develop this ongoing feedback loop that eventually will improve what's going on in your classroom. You know what? You don't have to do it just we can tell teachers, you don't do it just because I said so. Let's give it a shot.
Right.
Let's try it for 3 weeks. If it works, it's a win-win. If it doesn't, I will take you out to lunch and have drinks and wherever.
You're on.
Well, right? So let's give it a shot.
Yeah, I'm in. Thank you.